Hello, everyone. This is Peter Grandich. You get to live sometimes fantasies in real life. Mine, of course, as a New York Jet fan starting in 1969, as a 13-year-old. 25 years ago, I would meet one of two of my all-time heroes from that team. And because I met the first one, I would end up meeting the second one. And as good as both these gentlemen were on the field, this particular gentleman has been spectacular off the field. And of course, I'm speaking about the great Marty Lyons. Marty, good to see you again, my friend.
It's great to see you, Peter. Thank you for that introduction, too.
Yeah, you and that other guy seemed to do pretty good while you were playing. So I at least can mention it. But what you've done off the field, Marty, in all seriousness, and the reason that I'm only involved in it is just phenomenal. You're going into your 43rd year of the Marty Lyons Foundation, and what it's achieved is nothing short than spectacular. So, what I like to do today first is to tell a little bit of the history of Marty Lyons Foundation and what are you doing these days?
Well, Peter, I started the foundation when I was 25 back in 1982. My oldest son was born on March 4th, and then my dad suddenly died of a heart attack on March 8th. And then a little boy that I was a big brother to named Keith, he died on March 10th. And I think that's when God was shaking my tree saying, hey, I've given you all this ability to play the game of football. You were successful at the University of Alabama. Now you're in the NFL. Do something with your talent. So I started the foundation in memory of my father and Keith. And here we sit 43 years later, raising over $44 million. We're now in 14 states. We've helped over 8,600 families. And that's just by the generosity of good people, volunteers, and everybody accepting your mission as their own. So I sit here today representing all the families and the board of directors and the volunteers to say thank you to all the people that took time out of their schedule to either attend an event, or their generosity has definitely helped a lot of kids.
Marty, having dealt with professional athletes for 25 years and some of them wishing to do as much as you did, they may get around to a golf outing, they may get around to a event, but 43 years later and growing and bigger than ever before is a testament to really the touching that God made in your life, in my opinion, and how it's spread now. Let's talk about some of the things that the foundation does, including an upcoming golf outing.
Well, number one, we tried every fundraiser, Peter, throughout the last 43 years. So far this year, we've had four fundraisers. All have been very successful. I try to make each chapter, like down in Georgia, make them feel like they're self-sufficient. Even if they don't have enough money, they raise the awareness through an event. So they had a successful golf tournament. The chapters in North Carolina and South Carolina, we jump back and forth. This year, the golf outing in North Carolina, very successful. We had a casino night that was very successful. We had a draft party, very successful. So, and then we had a musical bingo for our chapter down in Maryland. So I think it's just people being very creative in a way that they can get their people involved with the foundation. And that's why I said, you know what, you can't, it may have my name on it, but I think if everybody takes ownership of it, that's the reason why we're able to grow.
And there's an estimate of how many families have been impacted by your foundation, correct?
Yeah, we've helped over 8,600 families, and the you wouldn't believe the waiting list that we have. Not just First Wish, but we're probably one of the only wish organizations out there that will entertain doing a second wish, meaning your son or daughter had a wish, they went into remission, they had a relapse. You reach back out, and a lot of people would tell you, no, we can't help you. You've already had a wish. And I went to our board probably 15 years ago, and I said, as a parent of four, I can't keep telling parents, I'm sorry, I can't help you because you've already had a wish. So we introduced the Second Wish program, and we've been pretty successful at that. The problem with it is you got to raise more money. If you look at the number of wishes that we've been able to do, Peter, back in 1982, when I started the program, to send a family of four to Disney ran us about $2,500. Today it runs you about $7,100.
Hmm.
So it's almost for every wish that we do today, we could have done 3 years ago. And we're still raising money at a consistent level. We're raising 1.3 to 1.4 million a year, but that gap is getting closer and closer because the wish prices are going up. So we have to raise more money and more awareness.
Yeah, I don't think I wasn't even aware of thinking that. Okay, so there's a major event that takes place this year on July 14th on your home, what I call separate state, Long Island. And
Yeah.
uh, you have a golf outing. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I think this year is our 39th consecutive golf outing. And we're going to be honoring you and honoring other athletes that show up that really make a difference. This is basically our corporate outing where, the price is a little bit higher and we're already almost sold out. So that tells you the following that the foundation has and tells you about the type of support that we have. And then we'll transition into having a Long Island golf outing. And the monies that we raise in that one, we call that the Courage Golf Tournament, because half that money will go to the Dennis Berry Foundation. Dennis Berry was a member of the foundation for a long time. He passed away. And what his foundation does, and they work side by side with us, because you wouldn't believe how many families, if they lose a child, they're financially stressed. They don't even have money for a funeral. So the Dennis Berry Foundation will take care of that. So at least we can be involved with the child, the family from start to finish. And if they do not have enough money for the funeral, the Dennis Berry Foundation will come in and we'll be able to bury the child with dignity.
So this is a celebrity golf outing, and it's not because I'm there. It's because that there's past players that played with the Jets and other teams, including a number that was fairly familiar to you, who says he is definitely going to be there this year because last year, unfortunately, he was ill and had an operation. Well, I think his number used to be 73, right?
Yeah, well, if you look around on my other side of the wall here at the office, that's like the Joe Klecko shrine. I got the picture of the Hall of Fame. I got the picture of when uh, I was so honored when he asked me to be his presenter. And, Joe and I go way back. We built as teammates, we built a friendship that has lasted now some 46 years. And we continue to be friends. And our conversation has changed. Now we talk about God, we talk about religion, we talk about other things, we talk about our children, our grandchildren, and to have him at the outing just brings so much to the people that are attending because everybody wants to meet Joe. What was it like playing with Joe? That's the first question. Then the second question is, what was it like playing with Mark? And there's two different answers.
Two definitely different answers. I know that
Very
for a
definite.
fact. So, two quick things, and I want to ask you about the Jets, and I'll let you go. So, the first thing about Joe Klecko, which you would know, but many people wouldn't, and when they're shocked when I tell them this, I say, Joe Klecko's third best skill was playing football, and they look at me and go, "What did he do better?" Oh, he can take apart and build anything, literally, cars, homes, anything. And then I tell him, you won't meet more than a devout Catholic that walks on this earth than Joe Klecko, which really surprises people, especially when I tell them that he's read hundreds of books about his faith. And when I'm at his house, there's only two things we watch. We watch a little bit of football during the season, but the rest of the time, it's something about his faith, which surprises a lot of people. But man, he loves his faith.
But you know what, Peter, that's what tells you what type of man he is. And I remember when he asked me to be his presenter, I went all the way back and looked at a quote by Martin Luther King. It said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But whatever you have to do, you have to keep moving forward. And that's what Joe did year after year after year, waiting to be inducted to the Hall of Fame until finally, you know what? He was there as a devoted Catholic. He was there as a man of God. And I think God said, hey, you know what? Every year that you wait, I'm going to see how much stronger your faith is. And then one day I will reward you. That's the only way that I could really justify why Joe wasn't in sooner.
Right.
God has a plan for each and every one of us. And And Joe is a instrument down here sharing his words and making us all a better individual, a better Christian by listening to him.
Well, Marty, there's a lot of scripture that I think of you and the foundation, and one of the most important one is when God is asked, he tells about when you've helped less fortunate and other people, and they ask, when did I do that for you? And you've been doing that for 43 years, my friend. I can't begin to tell you and your group. So let me just, before I ask you about the Jets, let me say about people are shocked to know that my favorite time with Marty Lyons and Joe Klecko had nothing really to do with football. We were at a show, but you took us to a place to eat. I don't know if you remember that particular place where the sandwiches were like 6 feet tall and the cake was 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
You, Joe, and Dexter Manley that played with the Washington, and even you guys could not finish the plates.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe Abdul was with us also.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah. And for us to lose Abdul right after we were very fortunate to do and asked to do that 30 for 30 show, Abdul was just a integral part of that sack exchange, and the guys behind us, the back seven, enabled us to do what we did up front. And of course, I don't think it'll ever be seen again where you have two guys on the same defense from different ends have over 20 sacks in the season. We were just very fortunate, and we miss Abdul.
Yeah.
Abdul was he was one of those guys that kept us all together, kept us all honest, and he was that peacemaker, the soldier of peace. And that's what he did. He served us well.
Especially among his teammates, he was a peacemaker.
Yes, he served us well, Peter.
So let me ask you this. You've seen a lot of years, and this is the cycle now for Jet fans. Hey, what a draft. We got a new coach. We got a new general manager. Looks like this, looks like that. But what's your bottom line assessment going into this year, Marty?
Well, number one, I think you got a good coach. You got Aaron Glenn coming in there. He trained all the way up. He's been a scout. He's been a position coach. He was a defense coordinator. He was drafted by the Jets. The biggest thing is he trained under Bill Parcells. And Bill Parcells was his mentor. And I think that that's going to enable him to, number one, deal with the media. Number two, change the culture of that building. And number three, build champions from the ground up, with his players. So I'm pretty excited about the opportunity. They're still in a tough division with that AFC East. You got Buffalo, you got Miami, New England's rebuilding. And the one thing about the NFL that will never change, Peter, you got to start fast and you got to finish strong. And the other one is you got to stay healthy. It's a long football season. Now with the way that they're approaching preseason, a lot of these veterans aren't getting a lot of playing time. So you need to practice time. But when it's game time and it really, starts in the beginning of September, you got to be ready to play. You can't go the first quarter of the season 1-3. It's hard to catch up. It'd be nice if you can go 3-1, 3-1 at the halfway point. You're 6-2. You have a little wiggle room right there in case anybody gets injured. But I'm excited. I've been excited for the last 46 years. Every time there's a start of a new season, I'm a total optimist saying, hey, you know what? This is our year. And, maybe one of these years, and I hope it's soon, we'll all be right.
Well, Marty, I want to just again thank you for this honor of recognizing me for such really little that I've done compared to what you and so many others in the organization have done. It'll be a thrill. I would hope anybody that has an opportunity, and please, for the people that follow me, I'll be sending out, there's an auction that you don't even have to be at that'll happen, and you can support and there's things happening in different states. So please, when you watch this video, I'll be putting also other information to look at the foundation to see how you can help. And Marty Lyons, always a pleasure, my friend. And I'm going to be having 73 as my bodyguard, so I should be.
Well, Peter, I thank you. And I think the one thing you don't give yourself enough credit for is, how many people you touch through your podcast, how many people you touch just in everyday life. And, you'll be rewarded at the end of life too. So it doesn't matter whether you hear the thank yous now or when you hear them in the end. But there's a lot of people that really, we appreciate your friendship. We appreciate everything that you're doing. And God loves you just as much as we do.
Well, if you get to hang out with Marty Lyons and Joe Klecko, that's not a bad deal either. So,
No, well, it, it, hanging out with Joe Klecko is a thrill because he's the legend that everybody wants to hear the stories from, and rightfully so.
and
And
but
I'm
I'll
just
tell you this, that you don't need to hear this, but you know it. He absolutely loves you. And he doesn't say love out loud a lot. So
oh, I know. So he knows how I feel. We're brothers.
we know that.
We are brothers.
All right, Marty. Thank you very much. See you soon, my friend.
You got it, Peter. Thanks for your time.